Yeah, very interesting. And so for those people who are listening or thinking, their plan is in 2023, they're going to go get VC money. Let's give them a reality check here. What are the main things that trip people up that make them unfundable by VCs? Because you don't read about that as much. You read about all the success stories and go talk to people, and there's a lot of money out there, which you mentioned. There is a lot of money out there.
There's a lot of dry powder.
You still have to qualify.
But even in the last decade, which as we spoke about earlier, we've been in this unprecedented boom time for venture capital. It's still a very small percentage of tech companies that ever receive venture funding. So you have to be going after a very large market, and you have to have a credible story for why you're going to be number one or two in that market. And that's primarily what VCs are looking for. We know that 80% of VC investments fail and that they don't produce a return for the VC. And that works well for a VC's model as long as they get 1 or 2 out of 10 that succeeds and pays for all the rest. And that's what they're going for. So as a VC, as I said, I was a VC for almost a couple decades. You're going for those big wins and you're pushing the companies to grow. You've got to push all of your companies to grow. And because you're hoping to get that 1 or 2 that's going to pay for the fund and make the fund. And a lot of times what that results in is just putting a lot of risk on the company, because that is the model. You have to do that. You've got to push for growth.
Yeah, interesting. So what advice do you have for our entrepreneurs out there going into 2023 in how they can grow their business?
Well, for the last decade, you could have made the assumption that there's venture funding for you if you've got a large TAM, if you've got a credible story, and you're showing traction in your market, that as long as you're doing well, you're going to be able to get funding. So that's not necessarily the case anymore. Although there's a lot of dry powder, we've seen a big pullback in venture funds, and if this is similar to previous downturns, what we'll also see is venture capitalists holding their dry powder to fund their own portfolio companies because, they will not assume that there's money from other VCs to fund the next round. So even with traction, you can't count on there being VC money there. So look at alternative sources of financing, look at being able to fund your company based on revenues. And it's important to, make sure you're alive for when the next boom happens.